I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, I think she's a hell of a player and, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're going to do that, then give it to our guards.
WNBA is scrambling to contain the fallout after Sophie Cunningham lit the fuse and refused to hold back, rattling the league from top to bottom with her explosive remarks that unleashed a tidal wave of anger, fiery debates, and ultimately a jaw-dropping fine clearly meant to silence her. Now the question burns hotter than ever. Was this a fearless stand for justice or a reckless line crossing in the league's eyes? Fans are torn straight down the middle, locker rooms are buzzing with whispers, and the tension is spreading like wildfire. Because at this point it's bigger than basketball, it's about whether the WNBA will finally admit to a leadership crisis, confront the officiating disaster, and start protecting its stars like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is the high-voltage story shaking the league right now.
I just hate the inconsistency.
When whistles are player-focused, that's I think that's a huge problem.
Well, she's gonna be one of those players that, she's already gonna be a GOAT. She's going to be a Hall of Famer. Everyone knows that she's freaking hell of a player, but getting some of those whistles already. Oh my, I couldn't.
This year, Sophie Cunningham has found herself at the epicenter of one of the most heated player versus league battles the WNBA has ever witnessed, racking up not one, not two, but 4 separate fines, a staggering tally that goes far beyond a slap on the wrist and reads instead like a pointed message from the league that they see her as a growing problem. It all started when Sophie, fed up after a game tainted by questionable officiating, fired off a raw, no-filter TikTok calling the referees useless, and that 30-second clip alone cost her $500, leaving fans and fellow players stunned not just at what she said, but at how fast and harsh the league's hammer came down.
Cunningham posted the video 6 days ago. It shows her lip-syncing lyrics from Sabrina Carpenter's song Man-Child. The caption to the video is, "At some refs."
Stupid. Or is it slow? Maybe it's useless.
Yesterday, Cunningham reposted the video on X with a caption about the fine.
But Sophie refused to back down. Instead of apologizing or retreating, she doubled down on her own podcast, not only standing by her words but expanding her criticism to expose the deep, simmering frustration across the league about incompetent and biased officiating, a move that struck a nerve with players and fans alike. The WNBA responded swiftly, slapping her with another $1,500 fine, bringing her running total to a staggering $2,000, a number that doesn't just punish, it practically screams that the league wants her silenced. But instead of shutting her up, it's blown the doors wide open, igniting a firestorm that has the entire basketball world buzzing.
7-0 Indiana run. They're within 2 and a foul. This time, Peckers does get the call.
I thought this might have been an offensive foul. Howard for the finish.
Indiana's considering challenging this call, but they will not, as Peckers gets free.
And the backlash was immediate and impossible to ignore. Social media lit up with hashtags defending Sophie, fans blasted the league for its glaring hypocrisy, and within hours GoFundMe campaigns had already covered her fines in full. Petitions demanding referee accountability and transparency surged with thousands of signatures almost overnight, uniting a frustrated fanbase under one clear message. Why punish a player for telling the truth everyone can see, while turning a blind eye to the league's broken officiating system? But the reality is this story runs deeper than fines and frustration. It's become a tipping point, the clash between players and referees now raising uncomfortable questions about fairness, accountability, and transparency that the WNBA can no longer dodge. With support for Sophie swelling by the day, the league is staring down a challenge that could redefine its future, and the fallout from her defiance is only just beginning. The only question left is whether her courage sparks long overdue reform or triggers a backlash so powerful the league won't be able to contain it.
You could overturn it to an offensive foul. You could also maintain that it's a foul but take away the continuation. All of those things could happen here on this call.
The interesting thing is, when you get to this point of the play, it is a foul on Boston. But it's because her arm was clamped earlier in the play.
I mean, look at that.
What can she do there?
She literally can do nothing. I don't know how that's not overturned to an offensive foul.
I agree with you.
That looks about as clear as it gets. And you saw how quickly Stephanie White challenge that.
The gap between how the WNBA and other major leagues handle criticism couldn't be more glaring. Take the NBA, where outspoken stars like Draymond Green or legends like Charles Barkley have not only been tolerated but actually elevated for their unfiltered candor. Barkley, in fact, built an entire media career on blunt, often brutal honesty, and fans embraced him for it because in the NBA's culture, calling out flaws isn't just allowed, it's celebrated, woven into the fabric of the game itself. Yet in the WNBA, that same candor earns players fines, silencing, and the message that truth-telling is a punishable offense, exposing a cultural divide that speaks volumes about where the league stands and why players like Sophie Cunningham are risking so much to push back.
Review. We have no illegal conduct by Euro, so the call will stand as confirmed. This will be also. Indiana will lose their challenge as well as their timeout. One shot for Euro. Thank you.
That's stunning to me. I mean, Aaliyah Boston, look at her. Lee puts her one hand down and then pins Boston down with her other arm.
I gotta say, Rebecca, I'm sure we'll get an explanation from Sue Blau at some point soon.
But Sophie's experience in the WNBA tells a very different tale. After daring to call out referees for failing to protect players, Caitlin Clark included, the hammer came down hard. She went from venting frustration to being pulled aside by a league official and warned, "They're going to fine you again." That isn't feedback, that's a threat, and the message couldn't be clearer. Speak your mind and you'll pay for it. The NBA may thrive on open debate, but the WNBA's playbook leans toward silencing dissent, and that forces an uncomfortable question. What kind of culture does this league really want to build? Ironically, the league's attempt to muzzle Sophie has only amplified her voice, turning her criticism into front-page news and triggering the classic Streisand effect, where trying to bury a story only makes it bigger. The irony cuts even deeper when you stack it against the recent string of unpunished cheap shots on Caitlin Clark. Fans are connecting the dots, and it's not a good look. The league seems more eager to fine players for words than punish players for dangerous plays, a warped set of priorities that calls into question not just fairness, but the WNBA's very credibility.
Page backers putting her hands on Sophie to shove her up. You see Sophie's hand in the air. Both hands are in the air right here. And Paige Beckers is shoving. She is shoving her clean off. Boom. Pushed her right into Howard. Pushed her into Howard. Now she's wide open and waiting for a pass like she just didn't do anything. Like she just didn't do anything. Wide open down here. Look at her. And then all of a sudden you get the whistle. And look at the ref. You see the ref? You see the ref right here. Calling the foul. And guess who the foul was on? Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie wasn't cryptic, she was blunt, and she was right. Refereeing is hard, sure, and mistakes are part of the game, but when you miss obvious calls multiple times right in front of you, the question writes itself, what are you even doing out there? That question doesn't just linger over one bad night, it hangs heavy over the entire league. And when NBA officiating, with all its flaws, still looks like a masterclass compared to the WNBA's chaos, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. Fans and players alike are left asking the same thing. How long can a league survive when the loudest voices for fairness are punished with fines instead of answered with fixes?
I'm not saying that your job is easy, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What call are you bugged out?
All of them.
Everything?
It's just they're just so inconsistent. That's my thing. If you're on the other team and you're going to be fouling this shit out of me,
yeah,
cool. But let me do it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want consistency then.
Yeah, just give, and I think that's players across the league and new fans across the country. Everyone's what is going on with the refs? And I'm I don't know. And you finding me $500 is not going to do shit.
Who's ever left a WNBA game with that uneasy feeling that something just wasn't right knows exactly what Sophie's talking about. This isn't one bad whistle or a single rough night, it's a pattern of inconsistency that's become impossible to ignore. That pattern changes how teams play, fuels endless fan frustration, and pushes players to the point of venting openly after games. And the leagues go to response? Slap the whistleblowers with fines. It's not about the $500 or $1,500, it's about the message. And that message, instead of silencing Sophie, has only made her fight louder. Her podcast, Dissecting the Fines, flipped the spotlight right back onto the officiating chaos, turning the debate into a public firestorm the league can't sweep aside.
There's a good handful that it's all right, dude. And there's a couple girls in there
too. Dumb question.
like, if someone were to, like, say someone called men's basketball their whole life and then went over to women's, would they be expected to call the game differently? Just given, like, the style and, like, physicality and stuff like that?
The real question now is how long the WNBA can keep sidelining those calling for change before the cracks turn into a collapse. Sophie's courage has done more than shine a light on a few bad calls, it's exposed a league fighting for its own credibility. And if silencing her is just the beginning, how far will the WNBA go to protect its image before its foundation starts to crumble? Compare it to the NBA, where referee scandals are met with transparency, replay centers, public reports, and open debates. Players can call out officiating without bracing for punishment, and that honesty builds trust even when mistakes happen. The WNBA, on the other hand, has chosen the opposite path, critics punished, problems ignored. Slapping Sophie with $500, then $1,500 hasn't silenced her, it's turned fans against the league. The petitions, hashtags, and constant debate online prove this isn't just noise. It's a full-on revolt against a system that seems to value silence over fairness.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a physical game. You know, I think there's a double standard in how people get their calls. I think Kelsey Mitchell, number one, is held or chucked on every freaking possession and never gets a call off the ball. I think Aaliyah Boston is the worst officiated post player in the league. She never gets a call. And you know, there's a double standard there, certainly. But, you know, again, if it's going to be physical and you're going to allow us to be physical, then allow both teams to be physical. If you're going to call the holds and you're going to call the chucks and you're going to then call it both ways. So, I mean, I think that we've been pretty consistent in what we're asking for. And I didn't feel like it was consistent, especially for those two. I think you could call a foul every time down the floor for those two.
The danger, bad officiating doesn't just miss calls, it erodes the very foundation of the sport, trust. When fans start doubting the integrity of every game, when players feel silenced instead of protected, the league risks losing something it may never recover. That's the true cost of the WNBA's heavy-handed response. Right now, the league is standing at a crossroads, staring down a choice that will define its future. Either confront the officiating crisis with honesty and reform, or keep pretending nothing is wrong and alienate the very people who fuel its growth, fans and players. The stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't a PR hiccup, it's a credibility crisis. And what makes it worse is the bizarre, almost surreal way it's being handled. Sophie Cunningham revealed on her podcast that her own general manager had to pull her aside, in front of teammates, to deliver the news of yet another fine. And what was her crime this time? Not profanity. Not personal attacks. Just openly discussing officiating, even while acknowledging that some referees are skilled and face a tough job. But nuance didn't matter. Respectful criticism didn't matter. The hammer still fell. Only in the WNBA could a player be fined for the simple act of talking about being fined. It's a script too strange for fiction, yet it's the reality players are living through right now.
The thing that I have the biggest issue about the female sides of refs is, like, they're so emotional. Like, the guys, no, the NBA officials, like, the NBA players mother those officials like no other.
Yeah.
Like, I've worked broadcasts, I've been to games, I'm friends with these people, they mother them.
Yeah.
And the only person that I've ever seen able to, like, mother a ref on the women's side is Diana Taurasi.
And they, like, take it.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah, they have to.
And, like, but when she's probably one of the worst people that I've seen go after refs, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah.